What is up, everybody, and welcome back to 2 Times the Grind, and welcome to episode 47.
Dun dun dun.
Oh my god.
Why did you do that? What the heck?
That actually sounds like we kind of talked about
Why
that before,
did you
but
do
we
that?
did not. I think it's because the way I said 47.
Yeah,
and then,
that's why
and
I
then
did
I
it
went,
too.
dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun,
What the
and then-
heck?
Yeah, damn. We're in that
We're in
relationship flow state.
We are.
You know what I mean?
Where we finish each other's.
Sentences.
Whoa.
I was about to say sandwiches, and I was like, yum. Love bread. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome back. Sorry we missed last week. PJ was sick. I was getting sick. I was fighting off. I fought it off.
You did fight it off.
I fought it off without getting sick at all, to be honest. Like, I'd wake up in the morning and
Yeah.
you'd feel a bit ropey. And
Ropey?
Yeah, ropey's like not great. Like you start to feel that something is wrong. I'd wake up in the morning and I was
Gotta
like,
be
oh,
a UK slang or
scratchy,
something. I don't know. If
scratchy. Or a little bit of like in the
you
nose.
were sounding sick. You definitely started
Yeah,
to get
and
a
then
little
throughout the day, I just made good choices, and, and we didn't get sick, so that's good.
I am sick of being sick. I'm gonna say
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm so tired of it, man.
I know.
You know, Law and I were
Sucks.
talking about it. I'm gonna rant for 1 second. I am
on.
probably the healthiest I've ever been in my life. Diet, nutrition, exercise,
You name it.
sleep,
Health.
everything. Health. That's me. Leading up to the event, and that ball pit, I think I think the ball pit took me out. I'll be
The ball
honest with
pit
you. I told you
took him out.
on Wednesday when I heard about it. I said, I don't know if I'm gonna get in it because, you know, I get sick really easily.
You think
I
of ball
feel
pits
like.
and you do think of germs. That's
Yeah,
my immediate
that's what I
thing.
think too.
Because
I don't know if I actually.
I've seen kids in
like,
ball
what's
pits.
the?
Snot.
I'm trying to think. Like, what's the logistics of like if I got in the ball pit here?
Yeah.
It's a thing we did for Media Day. For those of you who
Haven't watched
seen
it. It was a media day photography and videography thing. Opportunity, like they always do.
It turned out great. All the teams,
giant ball pit. It was
a giant ball pit,
big one.
Yeah,
Big one, medium-sized ball pit.
But what's the logistics of like could I have actually gotten sick from that if I got sick like 4 hours later or 5 hours later? I feel like I probably got sick from like the flight or something like that. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you this. No, you could. I don't think technically doctors speak up. This is your turn. This is where you come in. The doctors of the YouTube's comments. But I don't think so. But I don't think it would have helped. I think is the best answer for that. I think if you had got sick before that,
because
on the flight,
yeah,
and then you went to the ball pit and your immune system is already rock bottom and trying to fight it off, wouldn't have helped.
Okay,
it would have made it worse.
Because this is my theory.
Yeah.
Okay, we had a really early flight. So we didn't sleep a lot the night before.
Left at 4.
We left at 4 in the morning. We were doing VOD review until what, midnight or 1 a.m.
Yeah.
I think so. I got
Do you remember I said early night?
Yeah, we were like,
it's like
"Let's have an
midnight.
early
And I'm like,
night."
shit,
And
they're still doing VOD review.
Yeah, it was a long
It's
one.
all right.
But anyway, so we had VOD review late, or we were doing VOD review late. I had only slept 3 hours. Then we got to travel to the airport. We got to do the whole flight. It's a long flight. I think that I just was too worn down for the flight plus the ball pit, and I think it effed me up.
We have to tell them the story about the guy on the plane.
Oh my god, that was so
Fried
funny.
chicken. Oh my god, we're gonna tell them that story. But
You
before we do
gotta
that,
say the first thing that happened. But go forward.
we will. We'll do a
little
little travel day story because why not? But first, we have some coffee. And
Sorry, I'm
a
clearing
little
my
something
throat.
else as well, actually. So we're trying out some cold brew. I love cold brew. If I'm really starting to kind of not get bored of what I'm having with Nespresso, because I love Nespresso and I like trying different pods out.
It's variety.
But like if I'm just like, I want something I can just whip out the fridge and just pour. I love cold brew. We've made our own cold brew before, and we will do that when we're not being so lazy.
That was
But
banging.
I love La Colombe. There we go. I love La Colombe. I think their coffee is delicious. They always get it right. So I was like, let's try their cold brew. I'd never tried it before.
Yeah, same.
And then I also wanted to
I think it's the
show
first
you
time
guys.
I was there.
Yeah,
Like, I've
probably.
never seen that before.
You know,
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, 240 milligrams of natural caffeine per serving.
Natural.
Zipping
Nice.
around. And this is my favorite coffee creamer. This is the Chobani coffee creamer. I have tried many coffee creamers. Loads of them are far too sweet. and taste artificial. This is all natural, made with real like cream. Obviously this is dairy, but you can get dairy-free Chobani ones as well. I would just say, like, if you're looking to try something new and you're bored of your creamer, this is fire.
Yeah.
Like absolutely fire. It tastes gourmet, so nice. It makes your coffee just like, if you're gonna do that and kind of ruin your coffee with creamer, which I do a lot of the time.
Excuse me.
It's really good. I really like this one. So I would say that like that's definitely a pickup and a try for sure.
Nice thing about both of them. First of all, this is delicious. Second of all, nice thing about both of them, really good ingredients. Like the cold brew is literally just coffee, and this is a little bit of sugar and then dairy. You know, obviously. But it's funny.
Delish.
This isn't a health podcast, so we won't get into it. But if you go and try to get, we're trying to be more health conscious. We've said this in the past podcast. You know, think about what we're having, what's in what we're having.
Well, I think it's made a massive difference. Like when I moved to the States, I'd never had this before in the UK, but I'd never had stomach problems, headaches, dry skin. I am not joking. I came here and I was like a witch. Yeah. Like it was horrible.
A witch?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Just horrid. Just like
You're beautiful.
Like you're so sweet.
What the hell you're talking about?
But no, it was horrible. Like, remember me waking up in the middle of the night with the most like horrible stomach pains and things, and my transition with the food and stuff. And I wasn't.
So I said,
it was horrible. It was just horrible.
So I said, maybe it's what we're trying to eat healthy, but like maybe it's something that we're eating. You know, maybe you're allergic to something. Yeah. So made a big difference.
We cut out like oils, like certain oils from our diet. I know it might sound a bit crazy to you guys, but you know, we don't have seed oils and soybean oil. We'll stick to like avocado and olive oil. Yeah. And only a little bit of olive oil, but like coconut oil, those for cooking and stuff. And honestly, don't taste the bloody difference at all. Still cooking with oil. You know, we're not being that nuts. Yeah. And just like really kind of reading the label and ingredients of what's in things and just being smart about it. And I rarely get headaches now. Rarely. I used to have them like 3 times a week.
No more stomach issues.
No more stomach issues. Don't get headaches. I mean,
yeah, it's crazy.
I feel like that just speaks for itself, doesn't it? Anyway, off of our like kind of weird little health rant, I'm just saying, if anyone else was going through the same thing and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do, try that. Because honestly, in a month, you'll probably be like, holy shit, I think it was that.
I was talking to Ogre too when I teamed with him. I always thought this was really interesting. And he would get really, he told me once upon a time, I think it was like a year before I had teamed with him, he would get really bad migraines.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you told me this.
I told you. And he couldn't figure out why he was getting such bad migraines.
Yeah.
And it turned out he did an allergy test. I think he did an allergy test. You should do it.
You should do that too.
We both should. But he eventually did an allergy test and he found out that he was allergic to I guess like nuts, like almonds and stuff like that. And how about his go-to snack at night was like a little thing of almonds, like he just grab a handful or whatever.
Nuts.
And that would lead to him getting migraines. But it's funny because you don't think this is the end of the health rant. You didn't think that you're allergic to it because you can eat it and you don't feel like there's nothing wrong.
Most people associate an allergy with like a huge flare-up in that moment.
It's like an irritant, isn't it?
Like itchy, rash, stuff like that. But like you can be allergic to something and have a totally different reaction to it and a long-term reaction.
For a long time, I never knew that, I'll be honest, until he told me that. I was like, wow, I did not know you can get headaches from what this is before, obviously, we were dating.
You can.
But anyway.
And also...
Check your health.
Actually, I'm not going to say anymore because honestly, I could go on and on about this. But also sweetener as well. I have not had sweetener as much, and that no more headaches either. So sweetener, I think, is also a big one. I've heard that about headaches as well. Mm-hmm. Anyway... So with obviously this coffee, we'll let you know how we think at the end. But cheers to health, wealth, and happiness. Cheers, folks. Lovely. This is yum. Mm-hmm. That is bang-a-langin'.
I keep clearing my throat. I feel bad, people. I'm sorry.
It's all right, you sickly boy. Yeah.
I'm still. When
are you ever not sick?
I'm still
for these
getting
people
over
here?
it. I'm still getting over it. I told you, I was like, this is a problem.
So we're going to open donations up on this podcast, okay? If you want to donate to PJ and his battle against cold flu all year round.
No, I'll tell you what. No, I can't say
so that. So we can get bags of cough drops.
I was going to say, we need some donations. I'll tell you what.
What was the inhaler things? Yeah. The Vicks inhalers. Yeah. He loves those.
No, this is a whole separate conversation that we're not going to open this can of worms. I was going to say, you know what? I'm going to need donations. If I have to go to the doctors one more time.
Oh my God.
I think it is way too. I didn't even go to the doctor this time. I was like, if I'm out, I'm out. Like, it is what it is. Like,
oh my God. Don't say that.
No, I'm just joking.
Oh my God. Drag your ass to the doctor.
Listen, I got sick on Thursday. I held it together over the weekend. I know we're going to talk about the weekend. We're going to talk about Salt Lake City. Felt really poorly on Monday. I think that was probably due to like traveling and stuff like that. And then by Tuesday, I started feeling a lot better. And by a lot better, it's just like you get functioning again and whatever. So there was never a point where I got home. I was like, oh shit, I got to go to the doctor.
We'll address your sickness across the weekend.
Yeah.
Because I think it's interesting for people to understand like moving parts to life, like what you've got to, sometimes you just got to do it. Yeah. You just got to get through it and there's no excuse and you just do it. We'll talk about that in a minute. But first, let's talk about the travel day.
Okay, yeah. Real quick though.
Yeah, we'll talk about the travel day real quick. What were you talking about at the beginning? You said we have to tell them that. What was it?
So we had this really early morning flight. We had slept like 3 hours. Jay comes over here.
Yeah, Jay's traveling with us.
Yeah, so we take an Uber over
to the airport, an hour and 20 minutes.
You know, we board our flight. The terminal is absolutely terrible. We're at EWR, Newark Airport.
And the new terminal's nice. We weren't in the new terminal, FYI.
If you know, you know. And we walk onto the plane, and you can imagine it's like 6 a.m., 2 hours, 3 hours of sleep. Like, you know, we're just getting ourselves there. Kind of, that's the play, you know? And this older guy who's sat, you know, in our row, he sees us, and I was like, hey, you know, we're here. And he just like says with a smile, I've been waiting for you.
He goes, I've been waiting for you. And we were like, okay.
I just started laughing. I was like, nice. Like,
that's me going,
yeah. No,
I was so nervous.
It was so funny though, but like I'm like dead inside at this point.
No,
so like I can't.
I know.
You know?
We're exhausted.
And then go ahead and now into the flight.
This is really cute. Okay, I'm glad you said that because I actually forgot he said that. And then in the flight, like halfway through the flight.
He fell asleep within like a minute too.
A second.
Like he said that and I was like.
And he was dead.
You know, we were laughing. We sat down. Gone. Just
absolutely lights out. Anyway, halfway through the flight, so like 3 hours and a bit in, I've tried to sleep a little bit. So uncomfortable. Cannot. Hands up if you can't sleep on flights. Me. Cannot. I find it so uncomfortable. I'll try, and if I'm exhausted enough, I'll end up sleeping in a weird ass position, but it's horrible.
I wish I took a photo of
the way I was sleeping on the way back.
It was the way there.
Was it?
Yeah. That was crazy.
Oh no, you're right. You're right. It was the way.
She had like she was on the window. Like she had like a leg up towards the window, like that way, another leg this way, and then she was like leaning towards me.
And then I had my arm resting on that leg that was up like this, and then my head like that.
And I was like, I literally looked over
it worked
and I was
for
like,
30 minutes.
Yeah, I looked over. I was like, how the hell is she doing that? What the pretzel. Yeah, like what the hell?
So halfway through the flight, I wake up like in and out of sleep. And then I just get a tap on the shoulder from him. And basically what's happened is this guy has whipped out a bag of fried chicken out of his backpack, offered it to PJ like a literal lump, gone, you want? And PJ's
homie,
gone,
like, you know?
No, I'm all right, thanks. And he's turned to PJ and gone, get her.
Get her.
I want to ask her if she wants it.
He's being a homie because he asked me. Cute. He turned to me and he's like, "You want?" And I was like, no, thank. I have my headphones on. I'm like, what? And I look and I'm like, oh, like no, thank you.
A huge lump of fried chicken. 3.5 hours into the flight, by the way.
And then like Lot's like half asleep and he goes, like, ask her.
So he goes like this to me.
I don't have an option now. You know what I mean?
So I go, huh? And I take my headphones off and I just see. I literally see PJ, and then suddenly this man just next to PJ just goes. And holds a fried chicken up and goes, do you want this? I went, no. I was crying.
What a good
oh my
homie.
God, it's so sweet.
What a good passenger.
So sweet.
It was
but
sweet.
just like the most random shit ever. It was really cute.
It was really random but really nice.
It was really cute.
We're not saying it in a nasty way.
Oh no, I loved it.
It's like one of those travel stories that like it kind of made my day, honestly. I was like, I'm really glad that happened.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Absolutely hilarious. But yeah, so that was our little like just mini travel thing that was just cute and funny. And then when we landed, we got you macaroons because they had a lovely macaroon shop, which is lush. And his favorite thing is macaroons. So
I wouldn't say it's my favorite thing. That's a bit.
Really? Is it not? You love macaroons.
That's a bit of a stretch.
Oh God, I've been living in this false pretense that you love macaroons.
No, I do love them.
Okay.
You're my favorite thing.
Oh, thanks.
If you follow the podcast, you know I have a sweet tooth. So I would say they're like one of my. They're one of my favorites. I don't know.
If you could see this man eat macaroons, you'd be like, oh no,
they're his favorite.
He loves them. You clears trays of them. I remember you buying them on the way back, and Jay goes, "How many you getting? Like you getting that many?" And you go, "Yeah." Like as if they're normal to eat. Like
I didn't even get that many. I didn't even get that. I got like one of each
flavor. And there's eight flavors.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
I know. I think that's what I'm saying. You love them.
I'm testing for the wedding.
Yeah, I said we'd do like a little macaroon tower.
Take one for the team.
Well, I'm only doing a macaroon tower for you. If you want it.
For our guests.
No, bullshit. It's not for you. It's 100% for you. Anyway, folks, sorry. Ranting. Anyway, we're going to get into Salt Lake City, of course. So we land and we are ready to go. And yeah, just excited, honestly, about the event. It's so beautiful, Salt Lake City, like Utah. It is. It's a really nice land area. And it's just like mountains surrounding you, just stunning. Every single way you look, there's a mountain. Just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And yeah, I mean, day one of the actual tournament, again, like just really exciting stuff, to be honest. Like it wasn't as like crazy, I would say, as some of the other events that we've gone to day one pool play wise. Not super, super crazy.
Send beat Optic.
Yeah. But then again, I know it sounds silly, but like this might be my opinion. But I don't think that's that crazy.
Yeah.
I think, especially now in hindsight, looking at the whole weekend and how Sentinels were performing. But I think, I think that was always going to be Optic's really difficult match, one, especially day one. And I think also especially coming off of like some disappointing finishes and wanting to turn things around. And I think that's always a really difficult one. Like I've kind of pictured Optic as needing a couple of steps into a big matchup like that, and they just didn't quite have that. I think on day one they kind of had to go straight into it, and they were in the pool of death and etc. So I'm not as surprised by that as an upset. I wouldn't say it's an upset. I would say it's more just like okay, like that happened. Nice. Like I would have felt. I think I would have felt the same way if Optic had won it as well.
To be fair, at that point, both teams are going to winners bracket, so it's like you're just playing for 100%.
I just think they're both good teams, and I'm not really surprised by the outcome of either. If that makes any sense.
No, I got you. Makes sense.
So yeah, I don't think day one had a huge amount of upsets apart from you being upset. Like it's sad.
Sad and annoyed.
I did hear some things that were going on. Obviously along the feature side of things and the side stations, and I heard the experience wasn't so fruitful.
No.
Talk to me about that part.
Yeah, I mean, it was just unfortunate. It's just one of those things. I hate talking about this stuff sometimes because I don't want to be too negative about it. So I'll just kind of sum up what happened.
I think it's important to bring it to light so that people understand, or like, improvements can be made because feedback is important. So you can say it in a good way.
Yeah, I'll say it in like a
respectful way.
Yeah. We're playing against G1. Game one, there's a game crash. I think we were up 3 points, so we got told to take the points. We took them. Hindsight, we probably should have just done a full reset because they had just got a double cap. So like, they probably would have tied the game at least.
This is that 3-hour series.
Yeah, this is a 3-hour. It turned into a 3-hour long series. But HCS, the admins were like, "This is the rules. Like, you're supposed to take the points. Like, just take the points." Obviously, it's only 3. We're like, whatever. Like, who's gonna this isn't gonna make that big of a difference. So when the replay happened, the first replay, we needed 247 points. They needed 250. We were up 237 to 58. This is again the replay of game one, and they ended the game. The observer ended the game because they got the score wrong. That they thought we only needed 237, not 247. So that was unfortunate. The ruling is that it goes based as if there was a crash if the observer ends the game. So then in turn, I think we needed 75 points and G1 needed 250. We're like losing it. We're just losing. We don't have composure at this point. Like we're really, really frustrated. It's worth mentioning because it did suck. There was no AC in the building. 95-degree heat in Salt Lake City, and there's no AC in the featured, I don't know what you would call it, featured section, I guess.
Yeah, well, this is what I'd heard from my end, that they hadn't turned it on yet.
Yeah.
Which I think that's disappointing. If that is the actual case, I think that's disappointing.
Yeah, so that was really unfortunate. And like from my perspective too, I obviously was pretty sick at this point. Like I woke up, Thursday night I was sick, Friday morning I woke up, I'm like, oh shit, I'm actually sick. I was playing a mind game with myself all weekend, wasn't I? Where I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm fine. But on Friday, specifically, like, I thought I was going to pass out. Like, it was like that and on top of it, I'm getting like amped up, like annoyed, you know?
So it's just even worse.
Yeah, so it's even worse.
Yeah.
We lost composure. We have to do a replay. We should just win the replay. Like at the end of the day, we lose the replay, which is our own doing. The ruling sucks, but we need to hold it together better, and we know that. We win game 2, we win game 3, and then game 4, we have another crash. Right before they're about to cap the first hill, I'm like long haul, and sorry, it's recharge king. I'm long haul. I'm about to drop down on the hill, or like getting close to it. Brad's with me, and my game freezes. So I call over the ref while my game freezes. As he walks over, my game unfreezes. Now, when it unfreezes, I start walking. They cap the hill, obviously, because I wasn't able to stop it to fight, right? Then, 1 second again after, my game crashes. So the issue that then happened was that I was like, okay, well, like, look, I know this really sucks, but I technically could have stopped the hill. Like, what do we do here? Like, I feel bad because they're 90% of the way there, but like, you never know, right? Like if Brad and I collapse on it, we stop it, we could hold the whole hill. Who knows what happens? I really wish there was a pause feature in the game. Yeah. That's a whole separate thing. Yeah, but so the ruling ended up being that because the ref didn't see the first freeze, they had to award the cap to G1 because the ref didn't see the first freeze. And then they went through, you can't look at theater in Halo Infinite on LAN gameplay, which is another separate issue. And then they went through the broadcast, and the broadcast didn't see me. It was on other people's POV, and you couldn't even see me through an x-ray. So they're like, we can only go off the info that we know and that we saw. So they have to get the first point. And then,
even though you flagged it. Yeah. And then the crash, and it happened, and the crash happened. They don't think that's a coincidence.
That's what I said. I was like, look, I get, like, you can't look at theater, I get this, but I was like, you think that I called the ref over in the middle of them capping this first point, and then like
for no reason,
and then my game crashed, and they were like, well, we know it's unlikely, but we have to go based off of, like, because he can't prove it, like, we can't just go based off player word. I understand. So, like, I'm just gonna say this: it's just a difficult spot. I get it.
I don't think it's anyone's fault.
It's not anyone's fault.
It's just place, or at, in that circumstance.
Other than turn the AC on.
Other than turn the AC on, but also, like, we need some type of feature to stop things like this happening, because it just is so difficult on refs, on players, because players are going to get upset with refs, even though really it's not their fault.
Yeah.
And because, like, they're not stupid. They we get it's not a coincidence. Yeah. Like, we know, like, but that's their rule book. That's what they've got to follow. And I just think there needs to be some easier things to be able to eradicate and to help out in certain situations like that.
Yeah.
But
we ended up winning the game, came down to the wire. We ended up winning map 4, but 3-hour-long series. It was a grueler.
Didn't they get mini fans for the PCs? Because
that was on Saturday. We walked in on Saturday.
So it was still that bad on Saturday that they had to get mini fans for the PCs?
So we on Saturday morning we played Native Red for our winners bracket round 1. There was no AC on. It was just fans in the room.
Right.
It is what it is.
All right. I mean,
not the best experience for.
No.
It's okay. We don't got to talk about it too much. It is what it is. Everyone knows it's hot. It's hot. Obviously, you're playing for a big tournament. Like, that's not. It's not ideal. It's not ideal. I'd say borderline not acceptable. But anyway, go next. What are you gonna do?
I agree. But
it's not why we lost. We lost on the main stage where it wasn't.
Nothing to do with why we lost.
Just a frustrating experience.
Yeah, very frustrating.
The fans loved it though. Like, loved the event overall and stuff. So that
I think it was tight knit. It was really tight knit.
The vibe of it. It was really cool.
Yeah. Tight knit like vibe, which was cool, and different. I think everyone likes something that's a little bit different every now and then, as well. So you were obviously sick the whole weekend. Yeah. This guy was sleeping, sat upright, completely upright against the headboard with a hoodie on and a ginormous Vicks humidifier on his lap. He slept with it all night, and we were interchanging the lotions and potions in there and stuff, and our whole room smelled like Vicks. It was actually quite nice. I quite like the smell of Vicks. But you're really trying to get through, and I'll tell you something, I haven't seen you have to play sick before. Yeah. Usually it's afterwards you get sick. But I haven't seen you have to play sick before. I was so impressed with you being able just, like, mentally to overcome like how you must have been feeling. Like I could see you on the stage, like you know, with your tissue and making sure like your nose wasn't running and stuff. And I was just the whole time I was just thinking, oh my god, like I would hate this right now. Like if I had to perform, and it was like obviously a big deal, and there's a lot of pressure, you know, there's a lot of eyes on you, and you're feeling shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god, like I was just like, wow, you're insane.
Thank you.
Like you're amazing.
Thank you.
Like so amazing. And
time.
you just kept playing.
Not my first time. I just
so well.
I've had to deal with it so much that
you kept playing so well, babe.
Thanks, babe.
Like Jenna even turned to me. Jenna, Frosty's girlfriend, long-term partner, turned to me and said, she's like, I only think honestly PJ could do it. Like could do this. Yeah. Be this sick and play and not, you wouldn't know. Like if you didn't see him and see how sick he was, you wouldn't know. And I was like, no, I probably agree. He's like steel up there, strong.
I've also had to deal with it a lot.
Daytona.
Daytona.
I mean, you nearly died at Daytona.
Yeah. I'll die for this.
I'll die for this shit.
I'll die for this
Renegade.
stuff. We choked too. We like at Daytona. We absolutely choked. No, you know, it's just something you got to deal with it. Most people at some point got to deal with it. You know, I just try to like not feel sorry for myself and just get on with it. You know, honestly, I woke up feeling pretty good. The Vicks humidifier is kind of a play. I woke up feeling like actually not terrible. Well,
cheat code.
I felt like bad, but my breathing, this is what I'll say. I did a good job keeping my breathing pretty well managed all weekend. Like I was using a lot of like Vicks, the humidifier.
Didn't get like bunged up.
Yeah, I never got too like stuffy to where like I couldn't feel like I couldn't breathe. When that happens
here, it feels so like blocked and painful, like up into your head, and I feel like that's when you feel really ill, is when that happens.
Especially when you're competing, you're like yelling call out, so like you can imagine like the stress on your sinuses. Like
and I was doing like a little drainage massage on his nose bridge every night and morning. And it's where you like you can like, I actually looked it up with some doctors on YouTube. They told me to do this, is what they're saying, and that worked quite well. Kind of painful, wasn't it? But I mean, it worked.
My face was hurting. I was like,
it worked.
Yeah, it did work.
But yeah, I just thought that was awesome. Like you're freaking awesome. Thanks. Let's talk about what went wrong in the weekend though. Like actually gameplay wise.
For us, for others it went right.
Yeah, for you guys. I'm talking, this is our podcast, so we're going to talk about you.
True.
And then we'll talk about everyone else. Obviously, going up against Sentinels, you guys have played them many times before, beaten them many times before, quite convincingly as well. Scrim them.
Beating them convincingly was more with their old roster. With their new, I mean, we did 3-0 them we were in the pool of death at the Arlington
debut
event. But the 3-0, it was like really close. You know, it was really close games, and you know, we knew the whole time that they were going to be really good. And obviously, they went on to get top 4 last event. So.
And then scrimming constantly and consistently. So you knew like roughly what you're up against, but I just do feel like we saw a completely, I would say completely elevated version of that roster. Like everyone was on point. Yeah. And I think we've talked about that before. When a team has all 4 players playing super high level and to their max, that often that team is really difficult to beat. And it could be a lot of different teams, to be honest, that we have in the HCS. But every single player is playing like lights out, every single one. Usually it's bloody hard to beat them. And I feel like that's what happened with Sentinels. Like we saw some of the best we're going to see out of that team. Like that was incredible what they were doing. But yeah, what was your experience with it? Like obviously mentally, I think difficult knowing that you guys, you know, can normally manage to get a decent scrim against them online and usually win, and the reps you've had against them have been pretty consistent, and then to have that kind of turnaround was difficult.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, losing always sucks. I just thought they were on point, you know, like start to finish of the weekend. You know, obviously we lost to them round 2 on Saturday, and I thought, wow, they played really well. I wasn't happy with how we played on Saturday. I thought our comms were really bad on Saturday. So obviously some of it, you know, I said this in my stream, it's like, and this is no discredit to any team, so I want to make sure that's obviously said, but excuse me.
No discredit to any team.
No discredit to any team, but I think as a competitor, you have to feel like if you are playing your best, you win. You know, and I think any player on any team would say that. Like if our team is playing up to our potential, we will win, you know? I felt like on Saturday, I did not think we played up to our potential. I thought our comms were terrible on Saturday. I even like was talking to some people and they were like, yeah, you guys sounded like chaotic. Like I don't know what was going on.
It was very chaotic.
So we really dialed that in. You know, obviously we go to loser bracket, we play quadrant. We really dialed that in. I was really happy with how we finished the night playing quadrant. And then we match up against Sen again. And, you know, they just had our number. Honestly, like the second time around, I liked how we communicated a lot better. I thought we lacked a lot of objective efficiency this weekend. That was the big takeaway on the weekend, just objective efficiency, like getting a lot of kills and like just not getting a lot of reward for it.
No.
When we're firing on all cylinders, I think it's a little bit cleaner. We're still not the best. Like we're still definitely a team that overslays, but everyone, you know, sometimes every team has their own traits, you know, and that's our trait is we're very slay heavy. Yeah. A team like SSG, they're very like scrappy. Like they'll pull a flag and like they'll just keep running at the flag, you know. And it's like, but somehow when they do that, they're not giving up a counter cap at the same time. Like for us, it's like we'll pull a flag, and if we die on it, we're like, all right, give it up, like, you know, because we're too worried about getting counter capped. So honestly, big takeaway was like, hey man, they played great. You know, that's great for them. We have some things to work on, objective efficiency, keep improving our comms. We definitely were getting like frustrated, I think, a little bit over the weekend too, which is something that we can't have happen. You know, I tell the team, said good time to have it happen. You know,
because you go back and you work on things before the last two.
Yeah.
I do think you're 100% right. The discipline with your team is not there. And it is in certain times, and we've seen it in certain times and moments. But I just think, like you said, like overslaying, and unfortunately that is just such a bad trait. Like it's fantastic that you can overslay. Yeah. But the problem is when inevitably, when the other team, the opposition, will then slay, they will capitalize on that slaying. And you are then a step behind them again. Yeah. So like objectively a step behind them. Mm-hmm. Whereas you could have been 2 steps ahead of them, and then it's their turn, because it really is a shift of control. It's a massive shift of control, and it's whether or not you ice up when that team has control and manage to stop what they are working on and doing. And when you do that, what they are structuring on the map collapses, and then it's your turn to start gaining control and doing something with that control. And often PJ's team has control for quite some time, but then won't do anything with it, lacks the discipline, lacks the efficiency to make something happen with that, because they feel like they need to continue the control before it is the perfect opportunity and time to do something objectively. And really, you know, that doesn't always work against some of our really strong teams. Like it's really difficult to do that. And like I said, you're on the back foot because of it. So I did definitely see that a lot during the weekend, a lot. Yeah. And something you got to work on, but luckily, I think that's something that's quite easy to correct. And I say easy, but it's just because it's more of like an awareness that I think you all can adopt very easily.
This is how I explained it when I was talking to my chat about it. I mean, obviously, you know, I've talked about it. This is how I explained it. At Charlotte, when we had lost, excuse me guys, I'm sorry, you're going to have to deal with my voice. I don't know what's going on. Well, I do, but.
You're sick.
I'm getting over being sick.
Yeah. Just take a sip of your cold brew.
But at Charlotte, when we had lost, I thought we lacked a lot of coordination. I thought we didn't have objective efficiency at Charlotte. Like we weren't using good teamwork, all of it. Like I was literally like, so at Charlotte, my team knows that I was so like, wow, we play such a terrible way. I don't like it. We have to fix it. We did fix it. We won we won back-to-back events. We did fix it. We won back-to-back events. I'd say like convincing-ish. Like you could see it in our gameplay. You know what I mean? This tournament just felt like a little bit of a step backwards, but the way that I explain it is like, I know that we've taken 3 steps forward. So, you know, it's like we took 3 steps forward, took 1 step back. All right, let's go back and take some steps forward again. So it's not as if it's like hit the panic button, we're doing everything wrong. It was just really, they're very small. So you said they're easy fixes. They're small mistakes. We've done it before. We've already corrected it. We just didn't have a good weekend of it. You know, we didn't make it enough of a habit online to where these are the habits that carried over on land, you know? And that's what I'm really excited we're starting practicing today. I'm really excited to get back to it because I know that was it last weekend? No, the weekend before. Weekend before. I know that isn't 100% our gameplay, and you know, I think that we can get back to
without question,
you know, really proving that. Yeah. And like the good thing for us is like there's still some good takeaways. Like we beat Quadrant, we beat Optic.
Yes, you beat Optic.
There's some really good takeaways. Our Slayers look good overall. Like, you know, there's some, our flags look pretty good overall. I think the Argyle match was the first CTF we had lost all weekend or something.
Yeah, and I think that Argyle flag was a very, I think, a pretty, you can go back and watch the VOD with your team, honestly, because I think that's a slay heavy.
Yeah, we couldn't get a flagpole.
You were slaying like crazy. I thought to myself, honestly, watching that, I thought, oh, no worries. They're going to win first. Like, they are on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, pull a flag. And unfortunately, they just kept spawning their elbow, and it was just really close.
Argyle kind of goes that way. Teams play really good defense.
Yeah, very good.
You know, how often do you see a team score 3 flags on Argyle? Like, you just don't, you know? And then like sometimes, like, honestly, like with their flagpole that they got at the end, I don't know what you guys, I haven't watched it back, so I don't know what you guys would have seen on broadcast or not, but like they just made like a crazy, like Spartan just grappled to our base. I think we had one dead Spider-Man. And we were at their base, and like Spartan just like went to our base, and like Matt, I think Matt like missed the shot on him, or maybe Matt couldn't turn fast enough to hit him. And like next thing you know, they're like in our base. But it's like stuff like that. It's like Argyle is this like super defensive map, and then all of a sudden you can make like a really rogue play and something good happen. Or by the way, you could do that and it could not work out, and you could get countercat. You know, it's like it's a game of rolling the dice sometimes. You know, we did overslay, but we also, I just think the overslaying was an issue on Argyle for us, but the big thing was we just couldn't get a good pull while we were getting those slays. They just kept getting good spawns.
I just think they kept getting good spawns, and I think the slays were coming in a little too staggered in between.
Yeah, exactly.
And therefore you were getting fresh spawners.
Yeah.
And they were the numbers, and they were close enough to the base, and the numbers were enough for them to defend it.
Yeah.
And you guys be on the back foot if you did pull. So it's just like, it was really unfortunate overslaying, and I think in that sense, I think you could probably watch it back and like think about what you could have done differently as a team, and just kind of there's really minor things.
It's both, because like I know the kills are staggered, but the one thing that I'll say that I do wish that we did better and that we need to work on is like sometimes like it's okay to die. Like just pull a flag, get it out. Like if you die, like it's okay. You're gonna spawn back up, and I think that is one of our faults. Is like we don't do the objective all the time. It's not like we don't do it, you know, all the time if we're not 100% comfortable. And it's like sometimes it's okay. Like pull it. You might die. You might not. Like you know,
like they were spawning their snipe, and I was just like in my head, please just throw it to the opposite side and run the opposite side.
Infinite's so crazy. Where like you could literally just toss it front base, and if like your teammate happens to have a grapple, like you could just grapple it. And like you might. But that's just you know, I think the thing with us is I think that our comms weren't 100% on point.
Yeah.
We weren't 100% clicking, and I think that when that happens, you try to overcompensate. And I think that's what happened to us on the weekend. Yeah. You know, and credit to Sen, because I thought they were playing
fantastic.
You know, like
do you know who I thought was a big standout is Spartan. Like
he played lights out.
I hear a lot of chatter about loads of players on Sentinels, but for me, Spartan was just insane. The
snipes he was in all weekend were crazy. He was
it's
really
so funny because like really go through the motions emotionally, and obviously this is very suppressed unless people are taking photographs of me when I'm off camera or videos, and then you'll see really how I feel sometimes. But you know, like especially the video, by the way, just for clarification, the video and the photos were from the Optic series that people took of me. But
you're so cute.
No, I'm an idiot. And I need to learn to just be completely emotionless, just have it internally. But what I will say is that it's funny because I go through the motions of like when I watch Spartan play, when he's not playing you, I'm like excited and eager to see when he picks up a power weapon or a sniper or whatever. When he picks up a sniper when he's playing you, in my head I'm going, oh no, please, please, like get it out of his hands. Like, oh my God, someone, like mayday. It's horrible because he is weirdly good with it.
Yeah,
like
he's a big factor.
Very consistent across every series. He picks it up, and he will always get a shot no matter what. Like there's sometimes people pick up a sniper and it's just like, okay, well, it just wasn't there. They're kind of like round with the sniper. Like they just couldn't quite hit a shot, and that's fine. Never with him. Yeah. Like he might miss a couple every now and then. That's normal. I mean, it's very normal because it's hard. You're pro level, but damn, in terms of the consistency with a sniper, he is so consistently good with it. Like it is so scary when he plays you, because I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
No, please.
He's good. It's tough when someone's on point like that. And it's like you said, like he specifically is always super consistent with the weapons. So you always got to try to keep it out of his hands. But last weekend, I'm going to keep saying last weekend, whatever, at the weekend. He was hitting some really big shots that were, I mean, even our girl, like, I don't even know if it was on his POV, on my POV, I'd like have like a flank play and he'd go I'd be like kind of like ready.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, he's going to pick up snipe. Like, I'm going to go fight him. And I'd have him one hit and he'd just no scope me in the face.
I know.
And
it's
I'm
just like, wow.
It's crazy because it's the Infinite, Halo in general, forget Infinite, but Halo in general is just such a game of such small margins where it's like if you get that kill, then all of a sudden like the maps opened up and the flags opened up and this and that. But all the great players hit shots like that, but it's like those moments in particular last weekend. That's what it felt like. It felt like we just couldn't catch that. You weren't
getting those moments.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whereas like on the weekends that you win or like the weekends that we have won, and this is through my whole career, is like you can think back to a lot of breaks going your way or shots going your way. And it just didn't feel that way this weekend or this last weekend. But like I said, I think there's a lot of good takeaways for us. You can't be quadrant. And I told the team this, we can't be quadrant, we can't be optic if we're not doing something right. Well.
Yeah, I agree.
It sucks we lost to Sen. Obviously we want to make it to the finals every tournament. We want to win every tournament. But the reality of it is, just use it as a learning experience. Still some good takeaways. We were down 2-1 against Optic, and Live Fire Stronghold came up, and we've been working on our strongholds a lot. And I literally said to the guys, I said, this is what we've been practicing for. This game type.
Love that.
We almost choked it away. We had a big lead. We almost choked it away. They probably should have. They maybe should have won it. But same thing. Like even putting ourselves in the position to be in the lead to win. Like you know what I mean? That like we worked really really hard. In the past couple weeks to really get that point to that point.
I agree. Just because I was waiting for you to finish, I'm not going back, but the last thing I'll say about Spartan is, did you see his shot? His shot base, it's a shot, not really a play, but his shot on Solitude. Did you see the replay of that at all? I can't remember who it was against, but it was disgusting. And he kills somebody snipe lift on Solitude. The sniper is in the lift, bobbing up and down. He runs to the lift, mid-air catches it as he pops up, and the animation of it goes. He just no-scopes someone.
I'll have to go find it. I don't think I've seen it.
I was like, we all screamed. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that's a he was playing.
And I brought up for a reason, because we're talking about Spartan. And like there are moments like that, and Spartan shots usually like that. They're very flashy, which is awesome, and consistently flashy, which is impressive. But what I wanted to ask you, just very quickly before we move on to other teams, is the type of dopamine release that you get from a shot like that, especially like on LAN in front of people, and you know how Spartan reacts to stuff. Like he'll scream, and we love that. But how dangerous is it playing against someone like that? Not only is it pivotal, right? The pivs that you win and stuff like that. But I think sometimes it depends on like the type of piv it is. Like when it's a shot like that, I feel like the momentum that he has, he literally jumped, repulsed himself up and nearly hit another no scope in the same 10
sequence.
seconds. Yeah. So it's like, I was thinking to myself, like he's feeling so confident. So like as a player, like you've had moments like that yourself as well, like tons of it. What does it do for you, like mentally, especially in a game?
You just feel like in the zone. Like you're like, I can't miss right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm just hitting everything. It can be, it's one of the, everyone's had it. Even if you play Halo, honestly, if you play any game, you've had it, hopefully you've had it, where you get in the zone and you just feel like you can do no wrong. You know? That being said, sometimes it can lead to you doing something wrong. But you rather that feeling and feeling like you can't miss than feel uncomfortable or anything like that.
Because do you feel the same way? Like a lot of the time, like when somebody hits a disgusting shot, there is a sequence that follows. It never seems to be just one thing. There always seems to be like a moment. It's like, it's just how I don't know what the scientific reasoning would be, but long story short, you're on a hot streak. Like you hit a really crazy shot and you're like, all of a sudden you're like, damn, like I'm feeling it. Yeah.
And that's it. Like you're feeling, because like you're not, even as a professional player, like you're not always the most comfortable. Like, like some games you play, you don't feel like things are going your way and this and that. But like in that moment, like after hitting the shot like that, like you just feel like everything is really falling your way. And I think a lot of what really great players do is when they're having those moments, they really capitalize on it. You know? And I think that's what I think great players do.
I really do think it's something to do like in your brain, like releasing an endorphin. Because, and I'll tell you why, because when I used to play lacrosse, for my country, I had like high stakes situations, and I score a really sick goal, like a sick goal. My momentum, like the feeling I got from that, I would continue to run just as fast as I was. Yeah. I'm exhausted by it. It's like 2.5 games. I would continue my run around the goal, celebrating with obviously my team, but then wouldn't stop at all. Keep running and keep like basically the same level of sprinting, the same level of thing, back to my position. When I don't have to, I could walk. I have the time to walk. But there was something, I'm so like riled up and excited and happy. I can't even consider that. And like, God forbid if, you know, the game doesn't stop after a goal, I could probably just go and redo it again. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just your brain, isn't it?
There's going to be someone, I guarantee you someone in the comment section, if you made it this far, will know
what that is. What happens to your brain, like the adrenaline. I just said
in the zone and you're feeling it. And
because you hear crazy things with adrenaline, right? Like you hear like people lifting crazy stuff, you know? Jumping over walls that you could never jump over and stuff like that. But yeah, really interesting. If you do know the science behind dopamine, or you know the endorphins that is released when you do something really cool, or what you consider to be epic, you're right. Then please let us know, because I'm fascinated by that. As for the rest of the teams throughout, we have to talk obviously about our champions. Yeah, which is SSG. Space Station Gaming. You didn't get a chance to play them this time around.
We did not.
And I'm sure they're probably thinking about that as well. I'm sure that they were like, damn, they probably would have wished that they got to play you. Because I do think that you two have a little bit of a rivalry going on now. Yeah. And it's not so much like as like you don't like each other. I know that you all like each other.
We just play each other
you play each other a lot for the championship, right? And it's like that wasn't the case for them. They had a pretty easy kind of ride to win. And that grand finals was so impressive for so many different reasons from Space Station Gaming. When you're watching that and looking back at that and looking at how they played, does that make you, I don't know, not nervous isn't the right word, but like, do you see a different level from Space Station Gaming watching that grand final? Or are you like, oh, that's business as usual for them? Like, what type of kind of gameplay was kind of being kind of given to you across the screen based on how you watched that grand final?
I mean, they played lights out. Obviously, like Stellar, you know, everyone's talking about Stellar. Stellar hit some unreal shots, some unreal snipes. So he was very clearly feeling it on the whole weekend.
So Jesus of Halo.
SS Jesus is what they're calling him.
SS Jesus.
I just think they're consistent. I think since basically after Charlotte, I remember, you know, we talked about it. There's like all of a sudden this like online tournament where they really started playing in this really consistent, I don't want to say set way, but consistent, like just always kind of seeming like they're right there, or they're clicking, or they're doing this really well. I feel like it was just more of the same for them. Obviously, they had some really great individual moments, but overall, I think they're just a really consistent team right now. You know, they seem to be really well, and they are like they're unreal, and they won the finals very dominantly from what I've seen. But you know, competition is close. I think I said this in my stream. I think that even whoever wins Fort Worth, I think Worlds is going to be a battle. It doesn't matter.
I think every single event is a battle.
I think winning Fort Worth is going to be great for the team that wins it to have the momentum heading in the Worlds. But I just think Worlds is going to be this brawl no matter what. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Yeah. But like even SSG and how consistent, how good they looked. You know, they went map 5 with Optic, and Optic were right there. You know, they're right there in the game 3. They're right there in the game 4. SSG played a brilliant game 5 to beat them on that Recharge Slayer. But you know, it's still really close, and that's not taking away from SSG, by the way. It's just more so about how tight the competition really is. It's just, you know, you gotta bring your A game. They brought their A game that weekend.
They definitely did. Question. I think even the reverse sweep. They always do. I think that's something I love about their team. That's actually a lot I love about their team. I think one is every single person on that team brings something kind of different to the table. Yeah. Like each different person, like for example, if you covered up their names,
different styles.
I just saw a Spartan and watched them play, and I was told this is Space Station Gaming, I probably could guess who is who. Just in terms of the way that they play.
That's pretty fair.
The route that they take. Yeah. the decisions that they're making on the map and stuff, and just there's characteristics of all of them. Like Bound would be the easiest to tell. He is like cracked on the map. He's
I saw,
like just his reticle's nuts.
I saw map 5 against Optic, and Formal had a shock rifle, and Bound was just like jiggle peeking the doorway, like making Formal waste ammo, and I'm like, dude, in my head I'm like. There's some things where I'm like, hey, good for you. Cause like, I don't know if I could do it, but I just don't know if I would, you know what I mean? Like but he's got no fear when it comes to when it comes to his movement. Like that's something he's very clearly. But I think that you
have that with John, right? Yeah. You kind of have that same, like John and Bound give me the same vibes. Definitely give me the same kind of vibes. I think that is something that's cool to have. Like I think in your team is that fearless individual who will make that crazy risky.
That's how you would tell Bound. Like you see that game 5 and you're like, this guy's jiggle peeking doorways on a shock rifle. Like, that's Bound.
Yeah, like, no, it is Bound. Like just like come on then, come on, waste a couple of these. Like insane.
Game inches,
I see John do that top BR all the time on recharge, just whoop like this, just checking if the shock rifle zone it is, and you just see him slide back again. It's amazing.
Game of inches.
It really is a massive game of inches.
One headshot lands, and
they're like, BR, top BR's dead, and you just start collapsing. It's just what happens. Anyway, so Bound's really easy to tell, and I just do think that the others would be kind of distinctive, and I do love that about them, and I think that you never quite know what you're going to get. They're very, very smart. So I do love the kind of array of talent that you have on that roster. I love their roster. And then I love their consistency throughout the entire weekend. I've said this so many times on stream, on broadcast, but you won't find them sleeping any of the days. Like they don't really have like any kind of like lack of ability on any days. Like they go into every single pool play match doing really well.
I said this in a past podcast. I think that's something that they've really improved on.
Yeah, no, I think so as well.
I feel like last year, like in I keep forgetting what year it was.
Yeah,
no, even with Bound.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even when they had Bound, like when they had John, sure, but like when they had Bound, like they lost to that United team at Orlando pool play. At Worlds, they lost round 1 to Native Red. They got reverse swept. Like, I mean, you're talking about really good teams that they're going against, so it's not as if it's like,
I think, mainly this year is what I'm saying.
No, I know, but I'm saying that I think that they've improved on that.
They have.
What I'm saying.
They definitely have.
Because I think that like even like when they had John on the team, I remember like watching them at Anaheim. They went like map 5 with like Fnatic, and it was like really really close. We played them and they just stomped us at Anaheim, and I was like, we knew they were the best team in the game, so it's like, they're the best team. We just got to keep improving. But then you watch them go map 5, and you're like, what? Like what? Like what? Mm-hmm. But I think that's something that they've improved on a lot this year is their consistency, and just I feel like they have a really high level at all times, like you said.
They have. I also think their fan base is awesome. Space Station Gaming fan base is fantastic. Obviously met a bunch of you guys. You're crazy. But we love that. Some guy got a tattoo of a bubblehead, the Space Station bubblehead, and showed me. I was like screaming into the ceiling. It was great. It was awesome. The kids at the front, I just love that. Bound getting his first LAN win at the hometown. Couldn't have picked a better time to do it. Perfect. Just
it's a good
picture perfect story.
Yeah, a good story
for it. Just lovely.
They're gonna win one.
Episode came out. Just like it was just scripted. Kind of scripted. It was so good. It was so good. But yeah, like just, really, it was really good. I got to say my setup was probably the more tricky setup to have, because it was actually, I loved how I did not expect this, by the way, guys, in the last podcast, how many people said that they loved hearing about.
I saw that too.
I couldn't believe that. So many comments of people saying like, oh, we loved hearing like about what it looks like behind the desk for you.
It's interesting.
So I was like, oh damn, I did not think that would be interesting, but that was cool. So if you did listen to that, you can imagine, I think, having the setup that I had, which did look sick, by the way. It looked really cool. I got a chance to show my shoes. I got a chance to show my actual outfits I'm wearing. However, that did come with its task and its troubles. And that was because, like I told you, in terms of all my equipment and what I have to do off camera, only having one camera, and yeah, it was just tricky. All my boxes were behind me, and I was having to like basically reach and and balance the laptop on my lap and stuff like that. It was a little bit tricky, I'm not gonna lie. So for me, it was also a tough weekend. It was difficult. I adapted. I was proud of myself for adapting the way I did. I tried.
Killed it.
I never think I kill it, to be honest. If I'm being absolutely dead honest, I never have ever thought I killed it. I appreciate that, but I don't really think that.
We're the same. We're the same.
As long as it's acceptable, then I'm happy.
She's crazy.
Then I'm happy.
She's crazy.
But my talent team absolutely crushed it. I was really proud of you. Win or lose, always proud of you, because you always give it your best.
Thank you.
Until the day you don't give it your best, and I think, God damn, he didn't try.
Yeah.
Then I'll tell you, you suck. But until then, you're fantastic.
Thank you.
You're amazing. I'm so proud.
I don't think that day will come.
I don't think it will either, to be honest.
Where I don't try. I mean, that's just.
We're going to have to wrap up, but I'll tell you something, folks. Next week, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about all the teams that we haven't talked about yet that I think deserve a little bit of a speech, that they had a storyline recently, like we've seen some roster changes / coaches leaving, being, kicked off the roster, whatever. We've seen some kind of things happening on the timeline. Obviously, pools have just been posted. We'll discuss all of that because we want to talk about all of that going into Fort Worth. Just because obviously we're trying to keep things nice and tight here on the podcast and make sure we're not going on too long and giving us things to talk about in other episodes too. So we'll talk about all of that and how we feel about some of those teams and where they're sat in the pools. But yeah, we're going to have to rate our cold brew. So I'm going to give that a solid 9. I think in terms of what it is, in terms of a pre-packaged cold brew that has come from a warehouse and it's for our consumption at home and you can take it home, I think that's a solid 9. It tastes great. It tastes fantastic with creamer. Nothing really special about it. Like when I drink it without creamer, I wouldn't say there's anything stand out about it. It's very drinkable, very easy to drink. But it's the type of cold brew I take a sip and it's not like, ooh, that's coffee. Yeah. It's like I can just, it's very mild. I would say it's quite a mild one considering I got the Bold and Rich Brazilian coffee. It is quite a mild one. Creamer, honestly, 10 out of 10. My favorite creamer in the whole world. Nice. This one is fire. But I'd say this is a solid 9. Would recommend picking this up if you do fancy like a lazy cold brew. Yeah. What about you?
I'll go 8.5. Mm-hmm. And same context of what you said. I'm glad you said that because it's like, you have to take it as it's a, from a store or, pre-made, yada, yada, yada. But it's really nice. It's really delicious, really nice. Definitely, I was going to say would get again. We will get it again. So yeah, good rating with that being said. It's tough to beat a homemade brew, Yeah. But if you're just want one in the fridge, that's a good go-to for sure.
Love that.
Can't complain about it.
Love it. Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for all of the love on last episode. You guys just killed it with the views, the comments, the likes, everything. Thank you. We appreciate it so much. We love that you tune in every week when we put out a podcast every week. Sorry, I fell last week. We'll keep going. We promise. We're trying. We're busy people. No, we're trying, I promise. Huge shout out to Fern, by the way, everyone who's been editing the podcast now for a couple of weeks and he's absolutely killed it, especially with the content that's coming through on Twitter and shorts. He is the GOAT. We love him. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode. We'll catch you as always next week and we hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. And as always,
stay on the grind.